The first pro with the 2024 Ford Mustang EcoBoost Premium Performance Package is going to be the way that it looks. I'm a huge fan of the S650 generation Mustang. The headlights look amazing. Same thing with the taillights. But comment below, let me know your thoughts regarding the looks, because I know that's always subjective. So let's move on from that and let's talk about another pro, which is going to be just how good of a daily driver this S650 has become. Out of the highway, this vehicle is genuinely rather quiet for what it is. There's not a crazy amount of wind noise coming through or a ridiculous tire roar. No, it just lets in the right amount of information from the outside world to make you feel connected, but it never gets annoying. And in my experience, this has been a far better daily driving experience compared to the S550. In fact, these vehicles, they weigh about 100 pounds more compared to the previous generation, and perhaps that additional 100 pounds went towards the sound deadening of this vehicle. Who knows? The doors feel nice and hefty. It just feels like a much more high effort product than the S550. And this car feels special doing every speed, okay? 35, 45 miles per hour, 75 out on the highway. You don't ever feel the need to go ballistic and go past the speed limit. No, it just feels great driving it at all speeds, and that's what gives a car a timeless quality. You don't necessarily get bored of it after 6 months. So that is truly fantastic regarding the S650 Mustang. And the ride quality is also decent. We have here the 19-inch wheels wrapped in 255 wide tires in all four corners. In the normal and the sport modes, the ride is fine. You just notice some of the subtle, sharper bumps a bit more, but everything else gets ironed out rather well. The track mode genuinely becomes very stiff, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but that is another advantage of going with the performance package. You get the MagneRide dampers, and you also get the Brembo brakes, which stop on a dime. Now, a big con with the S650 Mustang is it suffers from the same issue as the past Mustangs. When you have the traction and the stability control off, which when you put the vehicle into track mode, those things automatically get turned off for you. This vehicle, it's still almost impossible to control. When you're trying to drive this aggressively and slide it around, you have no idea what the front end or the rear end of this car is doing. It's the same issue from the past. So when you lose the rear end, you almost can't even correct for it because you have no idea when to correct, unlike with competing products or really any other high performance rear wheel drive car. You don't even have to be an adept driver. You can easily correct the slides and the fishtails in other competing products like the Camaro, the Challenger. You can successfully hoon those cars and it's never an issue. You know exactly when to correct the steering, and you know what the front and the rear end are doing. And with other rear wheel drive products, it's the same thing. The Lexus performance vehicles, the RCF, the LC500, the AMG Mercs, the MBMWs, and even random things like a Maserati Gran Turismo. You can easily power slide those cars, fishtail them until your heart's content, and you can easily correct for it. The Mustang, not the case. You can easily spin out, but the one good news is if you have the traction and the stability turned on, you can drive the Mustang spirited and not lose control. But on a side note, the Shelby products, and I'm assuming things like the Dark Horse and the Mach 1s, they should feel a lot more predictable to drive. I know with the Shelbys, they're tuned to perfection. You know exactly what the car is doing at all times, but it's these regular Mustang models, the regular GTs, the regular EcoBoosts, with the traction and stability off, they are very dangerous. But moving on from that, another big pro is going to be this interior space. You can tell that they've definitely put a lot of effort into this compared to the past. It doesn't feel completely nasty in here. In fact, you have some more soft touch materials all around the cabin. The seats are superb, but they've always been excellent with these Mustangs, always very comfortable and supportive. And one of the biggest upgrades is going to be this new Bang & Olufsen audio system. For once, it's not just a name tacked onto a speaker grill. It genuinely sounds very good, and it's a worthy upgrade if you're considering the S650. The audio system genuinely has some punch, has good bass. I'm not saying it's the best audio system in the world or anything like that, but the previous audio systems, it genuinely sounded like a tin can. Now you can truly enjoy your music or your podcasts or whatever with the Bang & Olufsen, so that's great. Now, a pro and a con regarding the interior is going to be these new screens. So we have a 12.4-inch digital gauge cluster, which I do like, that works perfectly, and we have the 13.2-inch infotainment screen with this highly spec'd EcoBoost. So I like the way the infotainment system looks, and it's even pretty easy to use. That's not an issue. It's got a premium vibe to it. However, my issue with this is, this happened to me like 2 or 3 times now. When I would start up the vehicle, the infotainment system, it genuinely would not load up. And all of your HVAC controls are embedded into this touchscreen. So as you can see, that is a big pain. There's a serious like software glitch where it doesn't load up properly, and sometimes it's a bit laggy when you touch around, so that's not cool. But the wireless Apple CarPlay and the wireless Android Auto, all of that works just fine. But yeah, this is the reason why I don't like having HVAC embedded into the infotainment, because when that glitches up, like it has done for me, you simply don't have access to any of those climate control features. And another sad part about this new interior space is they've gotten rid of those toggle switches from the S550. I really love that. It truly added character to the interior space, but oh well. Another pro to mention with these Mustangs is simply how practical they are. You have a good sized trunk. You have rear seats, which you could fit some children back there, but really it serves as additional shelf space, and you can fold down those rear seats to fit longer items. That's truly awesome. But when you drive this car, you do feel like you're whipping something very large. You feel the width of this vehicle when you're pointing it out on the road, and it's like 189 inches long, so it's nearly the size of a mid-size sedan. So not a small car by any means. But another pro is going to be the EcoBoost engine. It's pretty good. We do have an additional 5 horsepower here for the S650 compared to before. So we have 315 horsepower, 350 pounds-feet of torque. In the real world, it's very quick, and it continues to build power even at the top end. And when you're just half throttle with this, you're effortlessly just passing people by. It's not an issue. You have effortless thrust here. But of course, one of the biggest highlights with the Mustang is the 5-liter Coyote V8. It's one of the most sonorous, best sounding V8 engines that you can get. So when you go with the EcoBoost, you are foregoing one of the best sounding engines. However, I get it. If you want a lower buy-in price and you just like the way the Mustang looks and you want to daily this, EcoBoost is not a bad choice. I'm not a hater of this engine. It serves its purpose pretty well. You do genuinely get good fuel economy here, and it's quick. I mean, in the real world, it might as well be as quick as the V8, but it's just the sound of the V8. That's what's impressive. But a con I've noticed is with the transmission, you do have very abrupt shifts at slower speeds, so that kind of takes away from the daily drivability. I'm not a big fan of that. And even when you're driving this hard, using the paddle shifters, even in the sport or the track modes, it does feel a little bit lethargic, the gear shifts. So that's a bit disappointing. But another pro and another big update for the new Mustangs is going to be the steering. The steering feel has improved, and the steering wheel itself is truly excellent. It's smaller than before, and we have a flat bottom shape. Truly has a premium vibe. It's great to grip onto, and the textures of the road, it does get translated through this steering rack. So that's fine. But again, the main issue is you have no idea what the front end and the rear end of this car is doing. But the improved steering feel is a welcome update. So those are my pros and cons for the S650 Mustang. Let me know your thoughts below in the comment section. Thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.